news now out of Germany, an explosion in the town of Ansbach. This appears, authorities say the source was a backpack, so this was not an accident.
After an especially bloody week, 2 more high-profile attacks hit Germany on Sunday. At least 10 people were injured by a deliberate explosion in the city of Ansbach. Police believe the only person who died was responsible for the blast. Details are still coming in, but officials say the attacker was a 27-year-old man from Syria who was denied asylum in Germany. Earlier in the day, police say a Syrian refugee killed a woman and injured 2 other people with a machete.
A Syrian refugee with machete has killed a woman in a city in the southwest of Germany. 2 other people have also been injured, as far as we know. For more details now, let's cross to our correspondent, Peter Oliver, who's in Germany right now for us. Peter, what further details do we know then about this latest attack?
Hi. Well, police have confirmed that a 21-year-old Syrian asylum seeker has been arrested after he attacked people in the street in the town of Reutlingen. It's a small town just outside of the city of Stuttgart. He's left 1 person dead, another 2 wounded after an attack with a machete.
Mourning the dead, many clearly overwhelmed by pain, sadness and anger at the makeshift memorial near the scene of the killings.
I'm so glad that no one of my friends is affected and they are all alive and safe. But I'm so sorry for the people who were here at the moment.
I mean, I'm scattered in pieces. I don't know. I haven't foreseen that like happening in your own neighborhood, you know.
Pray for Munich and pray for the world.
The shooter, identified by CNN as 18-year-old Ali Sonbali, killed 9 and wounded more than 24 when he opened fire here on Friday afternoon.
Police are still trying to determine what may have motivated the shooter to go on this rampage, but they say there are strong indications that he may have specifically been targeting younger people.
So far, none of those killed or wounded have been publicly identified.
You have all the equipment inside you need for airway management.
But at Munich's biggest hospital, Professor Peter Biebenthaler and his team remember all too well the mass casualty situation they were confronted with.
Amnesty International says it has credible evidence that shows Turkey tortures people that it has detained in sweeping arrests since that abortive coup on July 15th. A London-based group claims some of the detainees have been subjected to beatings and torture, including rape in official and unofficial detention centers. A Rights Monitor adds that in some cases, prisoners have been deprived of food and medical care while being verbally threatened and insulted. A senior official in Ankara has categorically denied the allegations and encouraged advocacy groups to provide what he calls an unbiased account of what's going on in Turkey. Government forces have arrested more than 13,000 people over coup-related charges. Most of the detainees are military personnel.
In England, it would seem dog owners have been given leaflets telling them to keep their pets off the streets for religious reasons. The handouts were published by a movement called For Public Purity. It claims the area has got a large Muslim community who would be upset by seeing the pets, which are considered impure in Islam, too often. But it's unclear, actually, who's behind these leaflets. A Facebook page bearing the name of the movement on the handouts doesn't contain any contact information. The campaign stirred reaction online, though, with calls emerging for a mass dog walk now through Manchester. Some even insisting on making sure the route passes through predominantly Muslim areas.
An estimated 9 million people have been affected by flooding in northern and central China. More than 150 people have died. Xinhua reports torrential rains in recent days triggered landslides that caused the collapse of tens of thousands of homes. Flooding also wiped out large areas of crops. Estimated losses from the floods are over $2 billion. This summer, the country's seen remarkably heavy rains. Earlier this month, rains killed at least another 160 people. Some have blamed persistent flooding on overdevelopment and inadequate infrastructure. An environmental scientist told the Wall Street Journal China's urban construction was carried out at too fast a pace. Flooding has been a serious issue in China for years. In 2008, flooding in southern China in June took the lives of more than 50 people and affected millions. And in June 2011, more than 170 people were killed in floods in eastern parts of the country. In this most recent round of floods, though, some people complained government officials didn't do all they could to protect people.
Many players were seen roaming the streets of the crowded shopping district in central Tokyo this weekend after a long-awaited game finally launched in the country of his birth. Whatever your opinion of the Pokemon Go fever, one thing is certain. The viral mobile app can encourage you to explore the great outdoors.
The game is just as unimagined to be. It's really fun. It's also the great reason to go outside. So I'm really enjoying it.
I used to take the train a lot, but now I will consider walking short distances.
The key is the augmented reality technology, which let users hunt for miniature Pokemon cartoon creatures in real-life environments. Players must catch Pokemon by spotting them and throwing Pokeballs to tame them. They also need to find Pokestops, or real physical locations where they can get potions and revives. They can also encounter other players to battle and try to win their Pokemon stash. With players trying to hunt down Pokemons, local businesses are trying to reel them in. McDonald's is luring customers by using its nearly 3,000 shops across Japan to serve as spots where Pokemon can be battled or trained in the game. But not everyone is happy. In Indonesia, the presidential palace has already issued warnings for players to stay away.
Imagine if someone is roaming around in the compound. They will look suspicious to palace security. They will certainly be questioned. Moreover, there's a code of conduct here everyone should respect.
But warnings like this cannot stop the spread of the fever. Despite no official launch, many Indonesians are playing it by using a proxy server that gives them access to app stores from other countries. Even before the game grips the entire Asian market, stocks in Nintendo, owners of the game, have already nearly doubled the total value of the company.
Even far from the flames, the sandfire spread its fury.
Oh yeah, you could see it right away and you could feel it.
Social media exploded with people posting their views of the smoky skies, palm trees pushing against the gloom over North Hollywood, Disney Concert Hall cloaked in gray. In Century City, drivers seemed headed straight into hazy cloud cover. And in West Lancaster, the minor league day game almost looked like a night-sider. From all over, smartphone shots of a dark, dense blanket hovering and in some cases covering.
I saw my pool was covered with 2 inches of ash, and we had to hose down the entire front and backyards to be able to walk and not bring the ash home.
Ash collected on cars as the heavy cloud of smoke parked over much of LA and beyond, blocking the sun, making the air so thick, air quality officials issued a smoke advisory for the elderly, the very young, or anyone with heart disease or breathing issues to limit their time outside and exposure to the smoke particles and
Second year in a row, a mysterious green slime is washing up on some local beaches. It's happening on the southern end of Monterey Bay, near the seaside city limit, just below Highway 1. We sent KPIX5 reporter Len Ramirez to get to the bottom of this bizarre beach takeover.
That's not the normal reaction when your toes hit the sand on Monterey Bay beaches.
It feels weird.
But today it's anything but normal. An unusually massive sea lettuce bloom is turning parts of the bay into a sea of green.
This is the first time, they say, it's ever bloomed like this 2 years in a row.
A similar bumper crop of sea lettuce washed up in the same places last year near Seaside in Monterey. And scientists say it may be part of a pattern of unusual occurrences, including an invasion of tiny crabs earlier this summer that turned the beaches red.
First time she's been on the beach.
And it's green.
It's green.
Gerald Rhodes of Salinas brought his sister from Arkansas to see the beach, but he didn't think it would be so weird.
I've never seen it like this. I thought it was grass, but that was kind of unusual.
The sea lettuce bloom should eventually pull back, and what's on the beach will crumble into the sand. But for now, it's a sideshow, giving the picturesque beaches a little extra color.
First today about West Nile virus, and it's shaping up to be a bad year. KPIX5 reporter Emily Turner got the numbers, and they took a lot of people by surprise. Emily?
They did, and it's already a bad year for the entire state. Here, our season for mosquitoes is just beginning, but we're already seeing numbers pop in. And you know what? It's concerning considering what else is happening in California. While much of the world worries about Zika, Bay Area vector controls say there's actually another mosquito-borne illness that Californians should be more concerned about: West Nile. There have been twice as many positive test samples than this same time last year.
Right now, it's a typical year for us in terms of West Nile virus. However, in California, there are some areas where West Nile virus is really quite active.
So active that 896 mosquito samples have tested positive for West Nile in California so far this year. Last year, at this same time, only 497 samples tested positive. Marin Garden Supply owner Kevin Sadlier says mosquito control is a major concern of his customers. Is this a top seller?
It's a big seller now because of the concerns about
Zika and West
Nile.
In Marin, where Kevin's business is, 2 dead birds have been reported with West Nile this year, 1 each in Alameda and Solano counties, 4 in Contra Costa, 2 in San Mateo, and the most, by far, is in Santa Clara County, with 38 dead birds. Vector Control doesn't know why the state numbers are so high, but say they and locals alike plan to be prepared.
Accident.
After an especially bloody week, 2 more high-profile attacks hit Germany on Sunday. At least 10 people were injured by a deliberate explosion in the city of Ansbach. Police believe the only person who died was responsible for the blast. Details are still coming in, but officials say the attacker was a 27-year-old man from Syria who was denied asylum in Germany. Earlier in
News now out of Germany, an explosion in the town of Ansbach. This appears, authorities say the source was a backpack, so this was not
a machete.
Mourning the dead, many clearly overwhelmed by pain, sadness, and anger at the makeshift memorial near the scene of the killings.
I'm so glad that no one of my friends is affected and they are all alive and safe. But I'm so sorry for the people who were here at the moment.
In the day, police say a Syrian refugee killed a woman and injured 2 other people with machete.
A Syrian refugee with machete has killed a woman in a city in the southwest of Germany. 2 other people have also been injured, as far as we know. For more details now, let's cross to our correspondent, Peter Oliver, who's in Germany right now for us. Peter, what further details do we know then about this latest attack?
Hi. Well, police have confirmed that a 21-year-old Syrian asylum seeker has been arrested after he attacked people in the street in the town of Reutlingen. It's a small town just outside of the city of Stuttgart. He's left 1 person dead, another 2 wounded after an attack with